What to do when the dying person stops eating. Hi, it's Katie Duncan here with Death Care Coach. I'm a nurse practitioner and an end of life coach, and I'm here to help you prepare and better navigate for the end of life process. Throughout my years working with people who are dying and their families, one of the biggest concerns I hear from families when their loved one stops eating and drinking is that they fear their loved one is going to starve to death or that they are going to die of dehydration. The most important information that I share with these families is that the dying person is not dying because they are starving. They are not eating because they are dying. And similarly, the dying person isn't dying because they are dehydrated. The dying person isn't drinking because they are dying. Our bodies know biologically and intuitively exactly what to do in order to die. Our bodies were made to know how to do this. No matter how young or how old, our bodies will go through that systematic shutting down process. And just like our bodies systematically and biologically knew what to do in order to come into this world, they know what to do to leave this world. Part of that natural shutting down process is that the body stops sending out those hunger and thirst sensations. The person stops feeling hungry. They stop wanting to eat. They stop feeling thirsty or wanting to drink. And as the body is shutting down, their blood flow and energy are being preserved for the most vital organs. Digestion requires a lot of energy that the body no longer has the energy for. The dying person may even feel nauseous. They may throw up. They may have an unsettled stomach and diarrhea. Forcing a dying person to eat or drink when they aren't hungry or thirsty, or they feel sick, or they just don't want to, can make them feel worse and may even do more harm than good. More on that last part a little bit later in this video. To help you think about this concept, here's a scenario that you can probably relate to. Think about the last time that you were sick. Maybe you had the flu, or maybe you had the stomach bug, or you were throwing up or having diarrhea. Maybe you had food poisoning. Maybe you just had a stomach ache or were cramping. Maybe you felt nauseous and just sick to your stomach. When it came to eating or drinking something, how did you feel? Did you want to eat? Did you want to drink? Most of us will probably say, oh my goodness, I couldn't even think about eating or drinking something. You were probably afraid it would make you feel worse or throw up more or be on the toilet the rest of the night. From a medical side of things, a healthcare provider would likely advise you to avoid eating anything until you felt your stomach and symptoms had settled down. So if you can imagine that feeling, you can sort of start to imagine what it would feel like for someone who is at the end of their life, who has dwindling energy, who feels weak and tired and who likely feels sick, who's not hungry and may even feel nauseous, and whose body isn't trying to keep going. It's getting ready to stop. It's especially hard in a lot of our cultures, I think, to see our loved one not eating and drinking and think, well, this can't be right. They must eat. They must drink. And that's because for so many of us, food means so much. Beyond merely survival, food to a lot of us is love. Food is caring. Food is coming together and sharing. Food is compassion. It's feeding our family and friends. We celebrate and share and love each other so much around food. Here's something that might help. Number one, that the dying person's body is not trying to survive anymore. It's not trying to keep going. Food and fluid are no longer the body's priority or need. Survival is not the goal. And number two, there are so many other ways to show our love and care and compassion when our loved one stops eating. We can use our words. We can tell them how thankful we are for them. We can tell them what they meant to us. We can tell them why we're grateful for them. Tell them we love them. Tell them we're going to be okay and that they can let go when they're ready. We can also use our touch. We can hug them, we can kiss them, we can lay next to them, hold their hand, brush their hair. We can keep their body clean and dry. We can show them love through acts of service, simply by being their caregiver or creating a space for them that feels comforting and peaceful. We can spend quality time together, reading to them, sitting in silence with them, singing to them, having thoughtful and maybe hard conversations, taking them for a walk or a drive or to the beach if they're able, or bringing the beach to them if they're not able. Food doesn't have to be the focus on our love. As families, we can instead honor them. We can honor what their bodies are going through. We can honor their experience. We can honor their wishes. We don't need to force them to eat or drink. We can offer, but don't bombard them. If they want something, they'll let us know. Earlier, I mentioned that forcing a dying person to eat or drink when they aren't able or wanting to can cause more harm than good. What did I mean by this? When we force nutrition or fluid into a person who is dying, either orally or through a feeding tube or IV fluids, it can lead to things like nausea, vomiting, stomach pains, diarrhea, and we can also see things like reflux or even choking. In the most severe cases, we can see something called aspiration, where contents from the mouth or the stomach or the esophagus end up getting into the lungs and causing things like pneumonia, severe breathing distress, and even a very sudden death. IV fluids can also cause things like fluid overload, which can lead to swelling, and fluid in the lungs, which can then lead to breathing distress, chest pain, and pneumonia. It may also cause that death rattle to be louder and more pronounced. And this is why, in the majority of cases, research suggests that artificial feeding tubes and IV fluids are not recommended in a person who is dying. I hope this information has been helpful for you to understand and better prepare a little more for what to expect at the end of life. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below. I will do my best to create more videos that answer your questions. If you'd like to hear more from me, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel, where I share more about death and dying and end of life, death doulas, grief, and so much more. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.